Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam, ala rasulillah. I want to first of all thank Sheikh Fahim and Sheikh Salina for their vision and for understanding the needs of students and supporting female scholarship, which is what I'm going to speak about today. When I first came to a meeting with Sheikh Fahim, I kind of expected that I would have to kind of prove to him why female scholarship was important. But I found it refreshingly easy, actually, because he was already, he was ahead of his times, mashallah. And him and Sheikh Salina, they already understood and could empathize with students, but especially they understood and valued the investment in sisters. So why should we support female scholarship? I'm just going to give you 3 points, inshallah, 3 observations that I have. I think in the last few years we've become more conscious of our own Islamic history of female scholarship, probably due to the general education, us understanding the role of people like Aisha anha, and her students and her legacy. But also probably the book by Sheikh Akram, about the muhaddithat. It brought into our consciousness this idea that we have a long history of female scholarship. But why invest in female scholarship today? My 3 observations are, number 1, women can bring unique and valuable perspectives to Islamic scholarship and to the community. And this isn't just from like a tokenistic perspective, it's not just about having a female in the panel, that's not what it's about. It's about women seeing things differently, having a different experience, a different lived experience, noticing things, noticing trends that perhaps sometimes brothers may not have. And so I think, and also understanding the needs of other sisters to make the deen more accessible. So I think, having Sheikh Salina here, I'm sure, made a huge difference to gift of knowledge in the fact that she empathizes with the female student's experience. When we look at somebody, for example, a female scholar of our times, somebody like Dr. Farah, I was just reflecting on some of her work. And subhanAllah, because she understood the psychology of women, because she understood how to make the Quran more accessible to them, she was able to build this institute, multinational institute, which now even people who, subhanAllah, you wouldn't expect them to want to study the Quran, women, upper class women who maybe they don't wear hijab yet, and not, particularly practicing, or they were at different stages of their journey, she attracted them to wanting to seek knowledge. So I think it was because she understood their needs and she made that knowledge more accessible to them because she's a woman and she understood that. And it's sad to see, and I've heard many sisters say this, that sometimes, despite their expertise, despite their qualities, their qualifications, they often feel more valued outside of Islamic institutions than they do within them. And I think that's a huge loss for us as a Muslim community because we're losing that talent. We're not tapping in to those resources. But I think the best organizations do understand and know that sisters' involvement, and I don't just mean as volunteers, that's important as well, but sisters who are visionary, who can help form the vision of organizations, their involvement enriches those organizations. The second reason why I think we should invest in female scholarship is that female scholarship is always a worthwhile investment. You often hear of men who have completed the Arabic studies, and they don't necessarily, from my observations, they don't necessarily bring that home to their families, right? Sometimes, after that, they go on to study something else, go into a different career. But when it comes to women, each woman represents a family. I mean, I remember even when I was studying Seerah, I would always be going home and I couldn't help it. I would be teaching my kids. I would be telling them those stories. Anything I learned, it was always being relayed back to my children. Each woman represents a family, but she also represents a community at the grassroots level. And I believe that women play an important role, not only as mothers and teachers and nurturers, but also in that other women often feel more comfortable approaching, female scholars. That's something that people often say to me. I feel more comfortable sharing this with you. I feel more comfortable coming to you because maybe you might be able to empathize, etc., etc. So investing in women is investing in the community. We often complain about there not being enough female role models. Well, inshallah, female scholars can be role models for our daughters, right? Instead of these, celebrities and all sorts of other people. The third reason that I think we should invest in female scholarship is that women can play a key role in responding to scholarship or academia that undermines Islam. And this is something I've observed since going to university studying Islamic law at SOAS. That, often in our lectures, we would have lectures, for example, about Islamic law and women, or women's rights and Islamic law. And the only voices, and when I say voices, I mean the only books, the only literature, the only readings that we would be given, the papers that were published, that we were given to read, were ones by feminists or women who were undermining the Islamic tradition. And I would ask my professor, I would say, well, where are the other voices? What about the other perspective? What about the orthodox perspective or the normative Islamic perspective? And he said, people like you need to provide those voices, right? Because unfortunately, it's not that those voices undermining Islam are more sophisticated. It's not that they're particularly clever or they have any kind of particular amazing angle to share. It's just that they've done the work. You see, they were the ones who were bothered to do the scholarship, to write the papers, to get them published, to write the books. But imagine if we had sisters, and it should be sisters, because often, there is this trope, isn't there, that it's Muslim men, they support the tradition. Muslim men support our Islamic tradition, and women, they want change, they want everything to change, they want feminism, blah, 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 right? If we as Muslim women could come in and lead the way in terms of providing those voices, those scholarly voices that give the counter-narrative, I think that would be more powerful than, maybe some of the brothers doing it. Although, of course, we need both. So, I think those are really three pretty good reasons why we should support female scholars. And I'm very grateful to Sheikh Fahim, to Gift of Knowledge, to Sheikh Sarina, and the whole team for their vision and for being willing to support students like me. Jazakumullah.